Hi everybody and welcome to Indigo Sky Holistic. I'm Davina, an intuitive healer, holistic therapist and Reiki practitioner, and this is an introduction and a bit of a riff on emotional health, emotional well-being, how that impacts physical health, holistic health generally, whole health, that is, whole health and well-being, and the importance really of taking body, mind and soul, body, mind and spirit into the equation with health. So one of my favourite modalities, which may have brought you here if you attend my EFT groups or if you have been looking at my EFT resources on YouTube or on my website, then you may have come here from one of the many EFT sessions or emotional freedom resources. So we're going to talk emotional health and specifically, and the importance of our emotions, or the role that our emotions play in health, in our well-being, in our state of mind, in our physical health, and I'm going to bring the spirit in as well, because I am a spiritual mentor, I am a spiritual activator because of my own story and my own journey with spirituality, with religion, with dogma and trauma. And yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. You can find videos on that, on those subjects elsewhere on YouTube or other information on my website. But we are going to talk emotions. So this is, it's drawing together a lot of what I do, and how it plays such a key role in health and wellness. It's not often seen that mental health and emotional health are actually different. There is a different element involved in the emotions and the mind. The mind is like mental chatter. It definitely plays a role in the emotions, and our emotions definitely play a role in the mind. But if you've ever done any mindset work, if you've ever done any affirmation type stuff, you may have realised that doesn't matter what your mind is saying, your emotions may be telling you something a little bit different. And this is why for many people looking at using affirmations to improve health or improve their situation in life, maybe you're using affirmations for manifestation, maybe you're using affirmations to like tell yourself better things for yourself and about yourself, and like really puzzled as to why it's not working. And it's because the mind and the emotions are separate, and it doesn't matter how many times you tell yourself something, if your emotions don't catch up, then you're literally fighting yourself, and the result of that is often not getting the results you might be looking for, not getting the results that you may be seeking. I'm just going to turn my laptop off because I know that fan is really super loud in the background when I'm recording videos. So yeah, emotions are connected to feeling, and we feel emotions, but they're also they're literally energetic frequencies that run through the body. And in Eastern philosophies and Eastern spiritual practices and Eastern medicine, how those emotions run through the bodies is quite understood. It's practiced. It's part of why a lot of Eastern medicine is a more holistic approach to well-being. So the emotions are, I guess, energetic frequencies for how we then feel in our demeanor, in our physical body, in our mind. And emotions range from things like fear and shame and self-doubt to happiness and peace and certainty. There's a range of emotions. You may have heard of the scale of consciousness. That is a way of looking at how emotions rate in a sort of frequency way, with like the emotions that feel densest being the ones that can make us literally feel physically heaviest. So the role our emotions play in our physical health impacts them. This is why when you have got a lot of anxiety, a lot of worry, a lot of depression, when you're weighed down with maybe trauma circumstances that cause you to feel self-doubt or uncertainty, lack of confidence, they make you literally feel like you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders. Is where the expression comes from. You've got the weight of the world on your shoulders. It's understood within Western medicine, within allopathic medicine, that certain stressful life situations cause physical conditions. Heart attacks happen with people who are working in stressful situations. That's not an out there concept. That's understood and medically known. So to consider that creating a way of feeling emotionally healthier, feeling a higher frequency of emotion, feeling more happiness, bringing a state of calm into yourself, even bringing neutrality in, which is something that I actually support and practice for people, to actually just create neutrality, because being either end of that scale too much it can actually impact physical health. So it's about finding an even keel and being aware that all emotions give us messages and signs, things that we need to pay attention to, about not getting weighed down in those lower frequency emotions like fear and worry, and not getting too hyper in the joy and the excitement and the like serenity, blissful state, because the impact that can have on our lives can be either we neglect, actually people who are in a blissful state can neglect other aspects of life and then end up being brought down into depths of despair. And sometimes people trying to be in those high states, in a state of bliss all the time, are actually ignoring that they have low frequency emotions or states of fear, trauma situations to process. So it's about learning to process all the emotions, acknowledge all the emotions, to admit that I'm scared of this situation, I'm afraid of this situation, makes me feel like I doubt myself, this situation is causing me a lack of certainty, it's this excitement might be too much. Sometimes being in a state of excitement is too much for the body. In fact, nervousness and excitement have are on a similar level. I see them myself as being like slightly either side of neutral, with nervousness being on that lower frequency of being like can sink you down into worry, and excitement being the thing that we can then cultivate and generate into happiness. So yeah, those some of those emotions actually hold similar frequencies, so that we can create more space to be in a more aligned state of being. And this is why the key for me when I'm supporting people with holistic therapy, I will actually go into emotions first, primarily, because I think when you support your emotions and process your, it's been my experience through my journey, through supporting myself through complex PTSD, that I had to support my emotions, process my emotions first. Once I got that, I was able to sort out the mental stuff, and then physical stuff. Literally, I've shed weight because of sorting out the emotions and the mental stuff. I like physically, like back pain gone, like really bad lower back pain that I had recurring for years. Literally have never had a problem with it since processing emotions. And yeah, processing the emotions can often bring about much better mental state, and a result being physical as well. However, I will just add this, that if you are open to exploring your spiritual health and your spiritual well-being, you may even find a speediness of the process to feeling well and healthy. And this is actually where I started. I did actually start with my spiritual well-being. I very, very briefly did say I wasn't going to go into the spiritual side of things, my own spiritual journey, because that's in other videos. But I was born and raised in a fundamentalist Christian religion that basically closed off my spirit, my soul, my connection to the energetic source of all things, by bringing me into low frequency emotions of fear specifically, shame, guilt, are all things that often a lot of those dogmatic Christian and other religions, not just Christianity but other religions, if their foundation is in creating fear of the future, or fear of the devil, or fear of outside forces, or fear of other religions, then there's that element of emotional reduction that is impacting people, and there is that often misalignment with the spiritual nature of who we are. I'll explore the spiritual side of things, the energetic side of things another time. And maybe if you come to this through my website, through the EFT resources section of my website, emotional freedom resource on my website, then if I've done a spiritual video, I'll put it in that section as well. But the supporting the spiritual things, going into healing my soul, my spiritual aspects, realizing that I was more than just physical, because the religion I grew up in teaches us that we are physical and not spiritual. We don't have a soul in the way that I believe we do. They teach that the physical is the soul. It's not it's not like an energetic animation of the physical body. It is just the physical body. When the physical body dies, according to them, the soul is gone too. And that's literally, in my opinion, spiritual homicide. It's literally killing people's connection to God, if you want to call it God, connection to the spirit, the energetic frequency that animates us. And to bring us back to the emotional discussion, it is actually hampering emotional processing. And this was why I had complex PTSD, as a result of having been in that structure and setup for so long, being afraid of everything really, and then because I did leave, having a whole heap of other emotions to process, like I'm gonna die because I have left. Literally, that is what I was taught, that I would die, that I was not good enough, that I was like literally, I guess, doomed for the rest of my life to suffer because I wasn't following God anymore. So I had to literally found that healing and supporting my spirituality, as difficult as it was, because everything else apart from what they said was demonic, literally what they teach. I had to really go into processing emotions around meditating, around even just like visualizing, even EFT, which is the thing that I use primarily. When I started doing it, I felt like, God, this is like something that's what is it? Am I dabbling with demons here because I'm doing this weird tapping thing? Except that whilst in that structure, I had acupuncture. I'd known about meridian channels of the body. It was like there was some basis of evidence. I don't know. That wasn't something that ever came up as being demonic, although when you look at what they're saying and how it relates to everything else, it's like, well, you can't say that's okay but then say yoga's not. You can't say that's okay and then say Reiki's not. It's like you're kind of missing a key thing to the energy that's running through us. So processing the emotions, all part of the journey. And when we have our emotions, when our emotions get stuck, when we get stuck in a fear state or a doubt state or an anxious state, when we get stuck in one of the situations, it's almost like the body clenches. And as it does, if you're like anxious, you often walk around in a tense state all the time. If you have self-doubt around or a lack of confidence around situations or life stuff, I think this is why so many people end up with chronic pain conditions, because they're not processing emotions. And certainly the people that come to me with things like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, chronic pain, have usually got traumatic pasts that they've either never had the opportunity to process or they're not processing. They're literally ignoring. So this is why, to me, supporting your emotions and going through your trauma, as horrible and painful and traumatic as that might be, is like the key to feeling so much better in yourself, even just more peaceful, even just more happy, even having more harmonious relationships. Processing the trauma, and you know, there's a body of evidence out there that suggests that pretty much everybody on the planet has some form of PTSD, and that is deep, and it's just why there then continues to be perpetuating problems for so many people. So when we begin to accept that we have an emotion that feels shit, we're anxious, we're worried, we actually give it a space to move in the body. And that can be really hard, because in a lot of new agey type ways of thinking, to actually acknowledge that you have a low feeling is seen as being encouraging it more, which is why people go, oh, EFT, but you can't talk about how I feel because I'm going to bring more of that on. No, that's not how it works. Suppressing it actually brings more on. So if you've ever tried to do affirmations, again, mind stuff, without nurturing the emotional stuff, and yet your life is not improving, that's probably a key to why affirmations, trying to work on your mind, isn't helping your physical reality or your physical body to shift and move in the direction that you're wanting it to. So emotions are all connected to all of these things in a way that can literally change your life. So my own experience was, I started to do some more mindfulness practice. I started to meditate and visualize, and within weeks, I guess, months maybe, sort of 3 months of creating a nurturing self-development, mindfulness, meditative practice, I stopped drinking. Wasn't even trying to stop drinking. Didn't even think it was a big problem, although I liked a glass of wine, but what mum doesn't like a glass of wine to cope with the whole hell of the kids? It was only as I realised what was happening that I was like, I don't need that anymore, because I've got this new way of handling situations that otherwise I'd found stressful or overwhelming. And then from that, I then began to process my emotions better. So through that, through those rituals and practices, I began to acknowledge certain things from my past that had impacted me. Physical punishment when I was little that had definitely impacted me, physical situations that I'd been put in that had impacted me, things that I discuss on my vlog channel around being raised with physical punishment, crying it out, what made me choose the style of being a mum that I chose, like the unconditional love, conscious awareness, supportive ways of being a mom that I came to, and how all of that was as a result of having had, I wouldn't call my mum abusive. She was far from abusive. She was actually thought she was doing the best that she could when she realised the damage that she caused to me psychologically when I was about 21. And she caught me self-harming. She was beside herself that her actions whilst raising me had created in me this mental trauma that made me think I was not good enough. I was a bad little girl who needed literally smacking around to behave, to be good enough. And that, again, anyone who's experienced self-harm tendencies, often that occurs because of suppressing emotions from traumas that we don't want to face. And that was why I'd hurt myself, because physical pain, way easier to deal with than emotional pain, and I wasn't in a place to see that I had emotional pain to process. All of that came from this beginning to explore my inner being. I needed to save my mental health. So the trigger was, I was literally this close to a mental breakdown, complete mental breakdown. I had 3 young girls, and it was that or die. And that might seem a bit extreme, but looking back, the patterns were self-destructive enough that maybe I had not have done anything significant, but I was on a self-destructive pattern and path, and ultimately would have brought my physical health to a state where it was in decline that would, not end well. Let's be honest. So it's all connected. And as things significantly changed for me mentally, spiritually, emotionally, the physical is like literally the last thing that I see as being a thing to be worked on. I think that my own experience has been my physical body has healed itself through emotional clearing practices, sorting my mind out and connecting spiritually. Back pain, literally, I didn't even realise the back pain had gone until it didn't come back again a few months later. And whilst there was other shifts, and I used to get back pain right in my lower back, and I had in like from 2020 some recurring shoulder and upper back pain, which again is in recent times, the last 6 months or so, as more has been shifted and cleared for me spiritually, I'm like, yeah, the back pain's all gone again from the upper back, and realising that there's a connection to physical parts of the body with emotions and life experience situations is a really big thing in exploring holistic health, whole health and wellness. Physical weight has gone. I've watched my emotions play a role in my physical weight, which I discuss in a video in my EFT resources. When we discuss food and weight, I discuss my own journey with weight and how emotions played a role in that, and how I don't diet to lose weight or to see weight go, because I think it's counterproductive to the emotional way of being to release weight, because as we have heavy emotions, we get physically heavy. And that's, again, something that I see around with people who have a lot of physical weight. They've often got a lot of emotional or trauma situations that they're either processing or not processing, and often totally ignoring as well. So when I support people with weight, I support them with emotions first and foremost, and a good nutritionist will support people through their emotional patterns to support their nutritional health as well. And to be fair, I don't think food has a lot to do with it at the end of the day, but that's a whole other story on energetics. So, to sum up, your emotions are one of the biggest factors in your health and wellness. Processing them allows you to allow your body to be heard, and it can bring about a level of healing that is potentially more significant. Sometimes just going to get some medication is sticking a band-aid on something that then can create something else further down the line. And there's a lot to be said for sorting out the mind, sorting out the emotions to sort out the physical body. And that's what I do through EFT, help you process emotions gently without going too traumatically maybe into past stories that cause really big, deep, open wounds to come up emotionally, which again can be more painful than having a big gaping hole in your chest. And that's why I started doing group sessions to support people with smaller things, because as we support ourselves with small things, we then actually allow space for the bigger, more traumatic things to come up to the surface, to be healed, rather than being buried deeper and deeper and deeper under the like surface level life stuff that you've got going on. That every surface level situation that piles on you emotionally is just suppressing the deep wounds from earlier on in life, down and down and down and down, to make a big, like, almost ready to explode bomb inside. Yeah, so that is a little bit of a discussion on emotions for you to explore. If you want to join my group sessions, then the links for them will be in the comments. And if you have if you know you have something deeper that you want to explore that maybe you don't want to bring to a group session, or maybe you bring something smaller to a group session that you then realise, well, actually I'd like some deeper support with something more significant, or to get personalised one-to-one support over a longer period of time, to get a very specific situation supported, then come and join me for some one-to-one support. I do 3-month and 6-month EFT support packages for people, which can be like, it's great, come to a one-off session, do a one-off video on YouTube, even do like the aftercare sessions, 10 minutes a day, do them, brilliant, you will definitely see results. But to get personalised one-to-one support with something, not only is it very productive, but it's like special nurturing self-care that you don't necessarily get from a group session or an EFT video, because you're held by a practitioner, by a healer, by a therapist in a safe container where you can be free to express the stories that are weighing on you and the experiences that are weighing on you, and then help them be shifted and processed. And as a Reiki practitioner, as an energy healer, when you're having EFT with me, there is energy being sourced to you through me so that you can process quicker and even more powerfully the energetic frequencies of the low emotions that you need to process. So come and join me. And otherwise, if you're just watching this on my YouTube channel, please drop me a comment, drop me a little thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel for more EFT videos. And you can jump onto my website and just gain access to the EFT resources on there as well, for a relatively small exchange financially as well. So I will see you in another video very soon. Bye.